You are listening to the Savage FINcast, episode 118, Debbie Downer's Double Deja-Vu.
Chicago. A criminal mastermind called Overlord held our city in his terrifying grip. Ordinary cops were losing the battle against Overlord's super freaks and mutants. Then, a miracle happened. When I found him, he had no memory of his past. I helped him find an identity and a life. Now we have a fighting chance. Now we have the dragon.
This is the Savage FINcast, the show that has just been added to Grab On. My name is Jim Purcell.
I'm Craig Olson.
I'm Raven Perez.
And welcome to the latest episode of the Savage FINcast, the internet's only podcast dedicated to Eric Larson's creation, Savage Dragon, where we also cover his other comic, Ant, which we are going to be talking about later.
We make a anthill out of a molehill. Or a mountain. Yeah, that's it.
Yes.
Consider we downgrade. We downsize for these. How you fellas doing?
Doing pretty well.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, so it's been a while since we've done a regular episode. In fact, I think last time we did a Savage Dragon issue, so now we're doing an Ant issue. It's kind of it's kind of working out. You get a Savage Dragon one month and an Ant the next. Kind of goes back and forth, which kind of works out for us. But it is always good to have a new comic. Yes, Craig?
No, I was going to say, it just means we have to fill in the spaces with some retros until we build up more.
Yep, and we definitely got some retros to get to in the near future. So
yeah, don't worry, dear listener. We got the gas in the can. We're going to deliver the goods.
So, no news really to speak of. But we did have a FINteresting conversation that we kicked off last episode, which we asked, given the events of 262, which of course was an absolute bloodbath, which long-standing character would you kill off next? Which character would you never want to die? No list, just one of each. We got some responses to that, along with some other emails. In fact, we'll get to our first email now. It says, "Hey guys, it was great hearing you read my letter out on the most recent episode of the podcast. It's nice to know that somebody has actually read something I've written, even if it's just a fan letter. The 6-page Savage Dragon comic I mentioned in his previous letter was posted on my Instagram, which you can find at Snoobold70FN6. I'll drop a link into the description of wherever you're reading or watching this. He posted it on his Instagram on the 7th of April. It sits between posts about Overkill Magazine and Team Youngblood. Hope that helps you find it. All the best, Stephen Newbold." Thanks for writing, Stephen. We did take a look at your comic. It's actually pretty fun. Being with our listeners, it appears to be a team up with Super Old School, Super Patriot, Mighty Man, and Glory, I believe.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So, it's an homage to like the Sal Buscema style, which is super rad. I really, really like it.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Yeah.
Savage Dragon fans are the most talented fans in the world.
It's true. This thing is neat.
The book's lousy with talent in the readership. It's amazing. Thank you, Stephen. Thank you, Jim. Craig. Go and jump to the next email here. Hello, Jim, Craig, and Raven. I'm a long-time listener and enjoyer of the podcast. Congratulations on Super Freaks. The book was the epitome of fun and luck. It was. I'm glad the comic world got the chance to see the Fin friends that I get to listen to on my long commutes to work. I would like to answer the most recent FINteresting conversation of which longtime character do I want to live and which to die. I agree with Jim, and Powerhouse should live forever, plus have more adventure appearances. I love his appearances and fights back in the early 50s. The issue numbers, not the year. The Die one is controversial, but hear me out. Maxine Dragon. Boo. I have no ill will towards her. I don't want to start a huge debate here, but I would think it'd really shake up the status quo. Sorry, Raven. Apology not accepted. Also, I agree with the Fako situation. Just make this new Mako, don't even know his name, a different kind of shark. Hammerhead, blue, bull, sand, whale. There are a ton of different types. Or have Abner Cadaver's string reanimate his original body. Anyway, keep creating, and I'll keep listening. Thanks again, Travis. P.S. Thank you for confirming the email address. Checking my previous emails I sent them with the older phone and the tablets. Might be why they did not arrive, etc., etc. Not too pertinent for you, dear listeners, but just letting Travis know that we see you, King, and we appreciate you. It doesn't have to be a whole debate. I've never told a listener they're wrong, but Travis, you're wrong. So,
nah, put Maxine
I'm
through
joking.
Put Maxine through a blender.
I'm joking. It'd break my heart. It'd break my heart into pieces, but it would indeed shake things up. I tell you, as a Maxine enjoyer, I have been enjoying the fact that she's not been disposable like Dragon's, mini partners. But if she was gone, it would just create a shit ton of stories because he's got all those goddamn kids.
Yeah.
So there is that. So I got to give Travis 100%. Give the devil his due. If you want to just create a shit ton of stories, that would get it going. Oh, my heart.
All right. So shall we move on? We've got our FINteresting Conversations segment for this episode. So, listeners, if you're new to this is the FINteresting Conversations, where we come up with a topic regarding Eric Larson's work, and we talk about it for a little bit, and then we open the floor up to our listeners to come up with an answer that they could write in or provide us with their own conversation topic if they so like. You can write in with your answers to this FINteresting conversation at savagefincast@gmail.com, and we will read your responses on our next regular episode. So for this episode's conversation, we'd like to see, who would you like to see Ant crossover with? So, I mean, obviously this issue that we're going to be reviewing, Ant 4, has got Dragon. We've seen Spawn in the past. Who would be the next character you would like to see a big Ant crossover with? Who wants to start this
first? Who's going? You want me to go?
Yes,
go for it.
Yes.
I'm raring to go, baby. The person that I would like to see Ant cross over with next is none other than Sarah Pazzini, the Witchblade.
Oh, yeah, okay. That makes sense.
Makes a ton of sense. You know why?
Because they're naked?
They're both, yes. For one, number one, yes. Number one, it would be super sexy. I think that Ant is inherently just a sexual character. Number two, they both have similar kind of things where it's like a leading lady with like a suit that gives them abilities and powers up. Number three, you could do cool things. Like you could have like fucking Ant use her powers to like temporarily steal the Witchblade. Or, you could have Ant use her costume to mimic the Witchblade's powers to try and fight it back. There's all kinds of awesome shit you could do in an Ant versus Witchblade crossover. We know Eric likes to draw Sarah Pazzini in the classic Witchblade costume. It's a no-brainer, baby. Everybody wins. That's it.
I don't know much about Witchblade at all, to be honest with you.
You don't need to. All you need to know there's two things. Sarah Pazzini is a cop. So you got that Malcolm cop kind of thing. The Savage Dragon cop hero thing. The Witchblade is like kind of like chooses who uses it. It's like a chosen one thing. It's always a woman. So that's how you got the thing where the blade could choose to be on Hannah for a little bit, right? And that it can create armor knives, bladed weaponry, and it can shoot fire flames. That's all you need to know, baby.
Interesting.
It's awesome. It's secretly awesome, but unfortunately, it's not very secretly well done. So,
she's like fully clothed now too, right? It's not like the bikini type.
I think she's gone through a revision lately. Yeah.
New Witchblade is fully clothed, I believe. The other thing too is the Witchblade has an opposite like power, like basically like a mortal nemesis, like the darkness. So you've got like a built-in foil, like. It's kind of it's cool. The whole thing is actually cooler than Spawn. And in a perfect world, there'd be 300 issues of Witchblade, all done by, I don't know, fucking Silvestri. But we don't live in that world. We live in this one.
Yeah, it's one of those characters. It's weird that like his second outing kind of beat his original Image concept. Like, you know, Witchblade far outdid Cyber Force.
Witchblade's a million times more original and a million times better.
Yeah.
Like fucking he brought in Garth Ennis to write the darkness. It's like fucking, are you kidding me? It's like there's good stuff in the Witchblade like back catalog, but unfortunately there's a lot of schlocky bullshit too.
Had its own TV show, I remember that.
Yeah. I think they're still trying to I think that one show like kind of just kept the door peekaboo open for all time.
Gotcha.
Anyway, I think Sarah Pazzini Witchblade rocks. I think she'd make a kick-ass Ant compliment. Like, I think Ant meets Witchblade would be fucking fantastic.
Cool. All right, Jim, what about you?
You go, because I have to figure something out real quick. I think I got an idea.
All right. Well, I've been on a kick with the Radiant Black universe, and I feel like he's kind of like the newer Invincible guy on the block at Image, and I like what I like what Kyle Higgins doing with the shared universe with Rogue Sun and Dead Lucky, and I think having a crossover with Ant might pull in some new readers. I think it could be interesting. They're both kind of younger characters.
Cool.
So I'd go with Radiant Black.
See, I would say Radiant Red would make more sense.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I guess I'm just saying in general those characters from that universe. But yeah, you're right. Radiant Red would... And that miniseries, the art is so good.
Oh, yeah.
And it was a good story.
I'm liking Radiant Red way more than the main series right now.
I agree with you.
God damn, I guess I didn't like Radiant Black, so I guess I should get in on this Radiant Red.
Radiant Red and Rogue Sun are actually exceptional.
Okay,
they're the comics I wish Radiant Black was, I'll be honest.
Awesome.
Yeah, Radiant Red's like the anti-hero kind of like...
Yeah, she's got stuff going on, but...
I'm into it. The thing is that I wanted to like that, but if you guys remember, like, I read it and I was just like, there's like so much potential, but like it didn't deliver. Yeah. Dude, fuck yeah.
I still like it, but I like Radiant Red better, and the artwork on Radiant Red is phenomenal.
I got a new comic to add to the pool box. Thank you.
So, my choice is kind of an out there choice. I think both of you got really good choices, so I'm going to go with a weirdo pick. I think, see, it's a weirdo pick because Copra doesn't actually cross over with anything ever. It's kind of its own thing, but I think Gracie's such a cool character design. I think she'd go great with Ant.
That would be cool. I was hoping to see Copra crossover with something. Image proper IP, you know, since it's a superhero thing, and I don't know if I see that happening now that he pulled the book and is just doing the trades through Image.
Yeah, the Copra situation's kind of odd right now, although Fife did tell me that Image is still going to publish the digital versions of the single issues just at a later date, along with the print trades. So it's still at Image, sort of, just not the print single issues. I think it's more of a question of, is Copra seems like a superhero universe, but you never really kind of see the superhero universe. It's always pretty focused on its main characters.
Yeah, and I always feel it could be like a situation like the Wanted crossover where he could just exist in Savage Dragon and he just
appear,
never acknowledge it in his own book.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, I'm down with that, dude. Like, I would love. That's a good. Jim, you said that was a weirdo pick.
That's a
awesome
great
pick.
Yeah.
I think the visual of Gracie. If you guys need to Google it, listeners. For one, if you're not reading Copra, read Copra. It's fucking incredible, and I think Dragon fans would just like it. But for two, Google Copra, Copra, Gracie, Gracie, and you'll see immediately like the visual appeal of like Gracie and Ant side by side. It's kind of like where I was going with Witchblade, as I was just thinking these two characters on the same page would just be dynamite together. And Jim, I think Gracie's a great pick for that reason, dude.
Yeah, agreed.
I think they look great together. That's
Yeah.
a good pick, bro.
I think we got through this one. I think we all got good picks for this one. Hopefully we didn't take all the good ones for our listening audience.
I got it. I'm going to change my pick last second. Yours wasn't weird enough, and you've inspired me. Bazooka Joe. Just kidding.
Savage Dragon already crossed over with Bazooka Joe.
Are you kidding?
No.
I always forget this. It happened?
Yeah.
God damn it. Oh,
He was in a Bazooka Joe mini gum strip thing, you know?
Like that was with gum? Like you could open a piece of gum and see Savage Dragon?
Yeah. It wasn't drawn. It wasn't drawn by Eric, but
Oh shit, I found it.
As far as I'm concerned, to me, you've made it. Like, truly, you are a pop culture icon if you were in a Bazooka Joe comic.
yep, it's true.
Spider-Man isn't.
He probably is.
Is he?
There was a trading card.
It was like the trading card was part of the Image Universe trading card set. It was like the foil like chase rare, which you can buy apparently for $1.65. So, but the actual
yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say
no. I was going. Sorry,
Continue.
go ahead.
Riveting.
Good listening. I see this Bazooka Joe Savage Dragon, and I'm just like, what? Incredible, dude.
And
it's legit. It really happened.
Yeah, and it looks like it came out in the 90s, so it was an early crossover too. I think it came out in 95. I think that's what the copyright information says.
That's incredible.
So it must have been some kind of weird Image like tie-in thing. Bizarre.
Fucking awesome is what it is. Hey guys, who would you like to see Ant crossover with? Let us know. What's that email, Craig?
SavageFINcast@gmail.com. I think it's hilarious that you said Bazooka Joe and had no idea about that.
Wait a minute. Okay, wait a minute. This might not actually be an actual Bazooka Joe strip.
I'm pretty sure it is.
So I'm not here. I'm on SD. Let me send you both a link to look at this real quick. Just a real time. I'm going to send you a link. All right, it's in the Discord chat.
Okay.
Go down to the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Images 7 and 8. Image 7 shows you the Eric Larson Bazooka Joe card next to Cutthroat and Hellraiser card. And if you click the next card down, you see the Bazooka Joe comic is on the back of the Bazooka Joe card because the Cutthroat Hellraiser backer card is being shown there as well. So now I wonder if it was an actual crossover, like in the actual gum pack or not, and not just on the back of this card. You seeing what I'm seing?
I see exactly what you're saying.
Oh, maybe it is just on the back of the card. I know I have a Bazooka Joe like book of it through the ages, and that comic's featured in it. I'll read up on it.
Well, maybe it was on the back of this card and in bubblegum.
Well, I mean, obviously, it's on the card. There was some kind of licensing or something, but yeah, I don't know. I believe it's more than just. I don't know the word for it. I think it's legit, whether it actually happened on a wrapper in a piece of gum or on the back of the card. I think it was a legit bazooka.
It definitely is because it's got the copyright information. It was in a card set, so it was definitely official for certain.
It's official because I'm looking at this bazookajoecomics.com. And it's right on there. They've actually got like the strip in insanely high quality. Like it's like giant. So it's like you can see it's like written and all the artist is the Bazooka Joe artist and all this stuff. But was it in gum? That's the $1 million question. Could you open gum and find this comic? Who knows? It's funny because I'm looking at this comic. It doesn't at any point other than the copyright info, it doesn't say who Savage Dragon is. It says, say, Joe, check out my rubber costume. Think anyone will fall for this gag? And then Dragon just punches him in the face. Will Mort, you fell for that cop. And that's it. It's like, oh, boy. We've talked about this way too long. All right. Hey. It's been so long. Aren't you guys hungry? Aren't you just starved? Aren't you absolutely fucking peaked for some sustenance?
Please never say peaked it again.
Well, the accoutrement to this episode, the meat and potatoes, is ant number 4. Oh, baby. Let me tell you.
Yeah.
I'm feeling real good about this one.
Okay.
I'm just saying. Ant number 3 turned the corner for me. Ant number 4 delivered the fucking goods.
I agree. It's still clipping along.
Yeah. Because it's like, I'm looking at the timeline here. 1 and 2, 12 was weird. 12 was a weird bag. 1 and 2, they were getting there. They're kind of still a little throwing us. 3 started to sort of gel like a lot better. Dude, as far as I'm concerned, I'm enjoying 4 as much as an issue of Savage Dragon. This is just a fucking good-ass issue.
I want to be a Debbie Downer.
That's okay.
I'll
we
hold
need
my
that.
tongue.
We need that variety. First of all, the cover, baby. The big spotlight. It's a much better choice than the gradient. We talked about this previously. We're not going to dwell on it, but I just want to say I love this dynamic cover. Switch it open. Who do we got on the inside? Another dynamic cover of Ant overlooking a Gadget Man falling to his knees. Oh, please. Oh, help me. As a generic-looking cold guy comes to attack him.
Yep.
Cold burn.
Pretty generic, all right. Looking anyway.
Colburn's generic looking, but that's part of what makes like the Twister-Rooney later interesting to me. But yeah, dude, I guess it's fucking cool to see Ant beat up on costume bad guys.
That's true. She has not done that much yet, because what's her face Mime turned out to not be the real deal.
Jessica Mime. Jessica Mime should have been a villain. I mean, I thought that was like, cool powers. Like to mime guns and stuff. It's kind of disappointing that she was like, just like an actor or something. So it's cool to see her actually fighting actual villains,
So, I'm having difficulties with Ant. I need you guys to help me see the light.
Okay.
Get it out there, dude.
So, I think Eric just has this thing with comics that he wants to fix things.
Right.
And that's what's going on with Ant. He's just taking all of the original series. He even gave it its own kind of cleaner ending, which eventually this series is going to tie into.
Right.
And he's taking everything that Gully did and is just rearranging it in a linear fashion.
Right.
And truncating it and making it kind of clearer. But if you read all the original comics, I don't know, it's just like, I just wish he would have done something different. Maybe a reboot of
So
Ant.
your problem is retreading too much?
It's retreading so much. Like, if you read issue 7 and 8 of the original Image Ant,
Yep.
basically a lot of these are just, the page swipes are there's at least 3 or 4 pages of swipes.
So I didn't realize how much he was reusing until I got to the end of this issue, and I saw it in the back matter.
Yeah.
Same. Yeah.
So I think that might be good. in that I couldn't tell until I was told.
Yeah, same.
I just don't see. I don't know. Like, he just wants to fix it, and I'm like, you could have started Ant kind of like a reboot, and I would have been much better.
Not to get too far ahead, but his goal seems to be he wants to tell this story from Hannah's perspective, like specifically from her perspective. So everything that doesn't happen directly to her, where she's aware of it, is what's getting cut out. Like, there's a part in here where she gets knocked unconscious, and there's kind of a jarring change of.
Very much so. Yeah, we'll talk about it.
And he does that intentionally because Hannah would only be aware of what came before and what comes after, and whatever middle part there that Gadget Man did that we are not privy to because it was in the other Image series doesn't matter.
Yeah,
so
I
it's
get
not
it.
here.
Yeah, we'll talk about it when we get there. I didn't love that. The thing is I'm not going to disagree with you, Craig. I absolutely do wish that he'd taken the clean slate approach. In fact, like, when we're seeing these two villains, these are not necessarily Eric-looking villains.
Right.
And I would very much love to see Ant graduate past this correcting phase, right? I would very much like to see the book graduate past the desire to retell Mario, because I don't think it's necessary.
Right.
Like, all this stuff here, like, if Eric wants to show Gadget Man being a badass, because, again, to me, it's badass to see, like, Gadget Man has his moment in this book, right?
Well, I think the problem is, and the problem has been, is that Eric can't really reprint the entire Mario Gully series for trademark and copyright reasons. So the goal is to basically crib note it into the most essential parts, so that he can sell this as a total package. This is Ant. This is the story of Ant. This is all you need to know. And then eventually after that, he can do what he wants with Ant.
Yeah, I know, and that's where I'm stuck. Like, the need to, like, fix the old stuff instead of just rebooting it and just doing what you want. Like, it just feels like, to me, it feels like a slog. Like, I don't know. I don't really care for any of the older Image Gully stuff, and I don't like retreading on it.
You read Ant, or when it came out originally?
No,
he bought
I
it.
read the first few issues, and then when I knew Eric was going to do Ant, I went back and bought the back issues so I could kind of understand it.
And then you read them?
Yes.
So you have read them all?
Yeah, I've tried to forget a lot of them.
That's probably the difference then, because it's still all new to me.
Oh,
Same
yeah.
here. Yeah.
But the thing I don't get is why, like, I understand it in a way, because I feel like just that's how Eric is. He just wants to, like, fix it, and he's big into continuity and keeping things intact. I mean, hell, he, like I said, he actually went out of his way to start with issue 12 before he rebooted with 1, you know?
Right.
But it's just, why? Like, we don't need, like, just reboot it. Like, we know, you could say the old Ant was in Savage Dragon's universe and the new Ant's in Malcolm's universe, in the post-Savage World universe. Like, why? We don't need all, like, to me, this issue, the fun stuff is when she's with Malcolm, and the stuff before, it's like he's just trying to shoehorn, I don't know.
See, here's the thing, is I'm going to agree with Craig. I'm not Craig. I'm going to agree with Jim that probably what's fucking with you is that you read the old stuff. And so you're getting hit by, because the thing is when I read this stuff, I can tell it's not 100% Eric, because there's choices in here I don't think he'd make. Like, Brain Drain is just kind of...
You don't think he'd design a character that looks like that?
I think he'd make the character a little cooler, is all.
Oh, I think... I don't think Eric's done a green-haired girl before.
I mean, listen, it's not that I don't like the character, but I'm saying I think Eric would make her look like... I think Coldburn wouldn't have looked so generic. Like, Mind Drainer wouldn't have looked so generic. I think that there would have been differences had he done his own thing. And, of course, listen, dude, I'm always going to, like, say I want to see Eric do his own thing. That being said, this is still hitting me as new comics.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I haven't done the retread. And so, for me, I think that's the benefit that me and Jim have, is that, like, we're reading this, and because it is still it's still through an Eric lens, right? it hit me as a mostly Eric filling comic. Because I would say that, like, even though, like, as I'm reading this sequence, we're getting way ahead, but, like, even as I'm reading this sequence where it's, like, first there's the cold burn, who just looks pretty generic. And then she, like, gets, like, blacked out and wakes up, and there's, like, brain drain, and there's no real clear, it's like, she just wakes up and is like, oh, well, you know, fuck it. Colburn's gone and this girl's here now. That was weird. That was jarring.
Yeah, it's weird because if you read the original issue, all that's filled in. It's all like you understand it way more, you know. And I guess you don't need to know it. I guess
right. You don't need to know it.
And
Hannah doesn't know it because she was unconscious at the time.
I will say, as a new reader,
and that's a good point. It's all
as a new reader, it didn't bother me. Like it felt weird and it felt jarring. But I wasn't bothered by it.
And again, Hannah is also confused, and her confusion is our confusion, so it's intentional.
Yeah, it worked. It worked for me. I mean, Jim, did it work for you?
I mean, I was momentarily taken aback, but then I recovered.
Yeah, same thing. When I flip the page and there's a whole different villain, I'm like, what? Am I missing something here? And then instantly the captions are like, Coldburn is gone with my hand. You know, Coldburn's gone, my hand is gone with him. Whoever this woman is, you know, I was like, okay, well, I think
my immediate thought was that all of the stuff with Coldburn had happened in her head with this woman projecting it into her, but because the hand is gone, the continuity's still there, so that was solved pretty quickly. That was not the case.
Yeah, the caption box instantly like snaps you back into place.
So I think Eric, I think, you know, clears this up in the letters page at the end of this comic is that pretty much everything that happens in this book actually happens. But besides, like, so in the original Ant series, like the first 3 issues ended up being a dream sequence, and then it was like real stuff. And I feel like in the first issue, she had some of that dream sequence stuff from when she was like a little kid. But I think we can say if there's anything that shows up on the page now, it's actually happening. I don't think there's much dream sequences or any kind of tricks.
Yeah, that's the thing. And like what's funny is if there hadn't been dream sequences or delusions or things in the previous issues, I wouldn't have thought brain drain was a delusion for even a second. But it was just that jarring transition where you flip the page and here's a whole different character and it's like, wait, what? But like listen, dude, Craig, I'm with you. I loved this issue. For me, it really clicked. But I am with you that I want Ant to start getting into Eric-centric storytelling. Like, I think that Eric is a stronger storyteller than Gully. And I think that once the book starts to be more his own, you're going to get into better stories. You just are. Because as good as this is, I still feel the presence of, like, the old book lingering, right?
Yeah.
So, no, dude, listen, I totally agree with you. I don't think it's Debbie Downer at all. I think it's accurate.
When we get to one point, I'll tell you one other thing that kind of I thought that Gully did better, which helped me better with the story. But we can go on.
Right on. You just see Ant fighting Coldburn, and it's cool stuff because at first it feels like pretty generic.
Right.
Like she's just fighting a cold guy. When she runs her fist through his head, it instantly fixes the generic.
Yeah, because he's like made of snow and ice.
Right. And then when you flip the page and he freezes her hand and fucking breaks it off, I was like, oh, goddamn, dude. Totally like this. I'm on board. I was like, okay, I wasn't prepared for it, right? Like, how did that hit you, Jim? Like, when you were reading that part? Because it was all new for you, too, right?
Because for me, I didn't know that she had lost a hand at any point, so it was quite the shock to have her lose a hand. I did immediately think, oh, right, she's got that suit, so this is a solvable problem pretty much immediately. But it is pretty crazy that her hand is, and her actual hand is cut off. Also, cold powers are pretty brutal sometimes.
Yeah.
Don't mess with a cold guy.
Yeah, and like what's crazy is this guy who seems pretty fucking generic. Like when I first saw him, I was just like, oh. I'll tell you the thing is, to throw Craig some kudos, is I was just like, oh man, couldn't Eric have like butched this guy up a little? You know, like give him a slight costume redesign.
Well,
make him...
I'll be honest, I don't hate how he looks. I think he is like a generic bruiser, but I also kind of dig it. I think Eric makes guys that look like this look pretty cool. I mean, his mask is just like a hood mask style thing. I don't know if it's got a name or anything, and it's pretty basic, but I kind of like that he's kind of just a thug with ice powers, I guess. I don't know. I don't hate it.
I just thought he could have looked a little cooler. But the funny thing is as disappointed as I was in his look, it immediately saved it when like she punched through his fucking head and he was still alive. And then he turns around and breaks her fucking hand off. I was like, oh, damn, this guy rocks.
Now we need to bring him back and have him fight Captain Canada.
Too similar.
Maybe they're brothers.
Or have him fight a lava lord or something like that. You know?
So was it jarring to you guys when that brain drain shows up on the scene and Gadget Man kind of helps take her out, but Colburn is like nowhere on the scene anymore?
I mean, enough explanation is given here. I mean, it seems to me... Well, actually, it is kind of odd because Ant comes... Basically, she comes to confront Gadget Man, and he finds that he's being attacked by this guy. And so she basically interjects into the fight and to basically save him so that he can answer her questions. And then in the middle of the fight, he realizes who she is, and I guess... The reason why she's taking her hand, I assume, is to take it back to the government to be researched.
I don't think that they make it clear who Coldburn and them are with.
Right.
But Coldburn, Gadget Man clearly states that they want the hand to get the key to her powers.
Right, so that is explained. So it kind of makes sense without explanation that he would just leave. If only because it's the easier job to just take the hand and leave, rather than try to apprehend her. I don't know. I mean, it was jarring, but it wasn't inexplicable. I guess it was more funny that this new villain just shows up and starts messing with her head. Like, like I'm not sure if it's entirely explained where she comes from. It's less the question of where Colburn went and more why she's here.
Yeah.
See, all this stuff is filled in the original comic because it's not from Ant's view. So we're just seeing Ant's view. People come in and out because she's knocked out. That's why it's like a little bit like confusing to me as someone who'd read the original stuff.
Yeah.
It didn't bother me. It didn't bother me.
It didn't really bother me in the moment, but now that I think more about it, I don't see an explanation of why she's here, and I think that's bugging me now. I mean, it looks like her and Gadget Man might have some sort of like previous knowledge of each other, the way he whispers to her after he freezes her, but it's not conclusive to me.
I don't think like they have history. It didn't seem like that, unless Craig knows that they do. But
who's that? Who has
like
history?
Gadget Man and Brain Drain, or Mind Drainer. I'm gonna call her Brain Drain the whole time, dude.
I'm pretty sure they do. I know Colburn and them do. And
I tell you what would have fixed all this. I'm gonna tell you right now. What would have like fixed it even for a moment. If he had allowed himself the freedom to say, you know what was an originally jarring sequence if it was told only from Ant's perspective? To wake up and there's just a whole new villain there without any explanation. You know what I could do? I could just have, like, fucking Mind Drainer in the back. Like, you know, like they came as a duo.
Right. So have her, like... yeah.
And then, like, when Ant wakes up, it's like, Coldburn's gone, you know, it's just me and Mind Drain now. And it's like, well, okay. Like, you know, no confusion at all. Like, there she is. I think he should allow himself the freedom
to rewrite history.
For sure. Like, he should allow... I mean, he owns the character now. He should allow himself to not... Like, kind of like, it's like, oh, well, if there's any confusing stuff, just fucking cut it out. just tell a straightforward, like, a clear, concise, like, just tell the story that is going to be the best story, and don't be a slave to continuity. Like, just fucking cut it out.
I mean, I guess I also see what he's doing here. He's just trying to make it, like, intriguing, like, we're along for the ride, and she's piecing it all together, too. It's not working well for me, personally.
I will say, it is nice to see Gadget Man do stuff with gadgets.
Hell yes, dude.
All right. I'm glad you said that. I'll let you finish your point, and I want to talk to you about
No, that is my point. It is nice to see him gadget something together and do something that his namesake suggests.
I will say, the way that Gully portrays it, he has Gadget Man over a few pages putting together what he's doing, and it makes so much more sense to me in Ant.
Wait, so
he spent several the original image Ant.
So he spent several pages doing this?
Like 2 pages, like with a bunch of panels where he's like kind of explaining what he's doing here, like putting together the wiring and how he sets it up and how he builds the pen, you know.
I don't know.
I like it better. I like it better just quick.
I like it better here too. I didn't have any questions. I didn't need to know the mechanics of why the pen magically can freeze the woman. That doesn't seem... I mean, it tells us he took his phone apart and he crushes something with his shoe, which I assume was some sort of like reactant of some kind.
Well, no, it's the tooth.
Oh, right.
It's his tooth.
He crushes Coldburn's tooth up to put it in the fountain pen.
Oh, okay. There you go. See, that's all the explanation I need.
Yeah, and here's the thing is I really don't need a bunch of, like... I think it's kind of cooler for it to be quick, because it just makes him seem like a fucking, like
he
can
a genius.
Just turn...
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes him seem like he can turn a fucking shitty cell phone into a weapon. Or
right.
He can turn a tooth and a fountain pen into a deadly freeze weapon. It made him seem awesome.
Yeah,
you don't need pages to explain the mechanism.
It was 2 pages, but I just felt like it was more... You'd have to see the issue. It's more suspenseful because she's trying to kill Ant, and he's like cobbling together, kind of like MacGyvering stuff to get, you know...
I guess I get the same sensation the way Eric's done it. Because you see Ant with her head being like... with all electricity zapping off of it and all that crap. It feels relatively suspenseful.
Yeah, you don't know what... I mean, she's already had her... Here's the thing, is I'll give you the new reader perspective, Craig, just so you know. Like, here's the thing, it's like, we've already seen her get her fucking hand snapped off, which I wasn't prepared for. Because this story takes place in the past, and we've seen Ant and Malcolm and Spawn, and I never paid attention to Hannah's fucking hands to think, oh, what, she's missing a fucking hand? So, already I'm taken aback, because she fucking had her hand snapped off. So now, as for getting her mind fucking attacked by this bitch, I don't know what this bitch's powers are.
Mind stuff, yes.
Yeah, mind stuff. I do know that Ant's mind is already in a shitty mess anyway. So, clearly Ant is susceptible to mind draining, whatever that entails, right? And so it's like, I realize that Ant's in peril. And actually, where she just had her fucking hand snapped off, it kind of makes me question, oh, geez, shit. I mean, I know she's the main character. And I know, like, she's, probably going to be okay, but she did just lose a hand. Like, who knows what's going to happen next? And then, as far as, like, Gadget Man, like, he's fucking around with little doodads or gizmos on the floor. I just wasn't prepared for him to turn her antennas into a weapon, a fucking, like, cell phone transceiver weapon with his phone. And then turn the crushed tooth. Because the cool thing about the crushed tooth is we see the tooth get knocked out in the beginning of the issue. So when Ant is like kicking Coldburn in the face, you see the tooth fly out. And you dismiss that as a comic thing. Eric draws guys getting their fucking teeth knocked out all the time, right?
Yeah.
But then the cool thing is that it actually ends up being important to the story. Like fucking Gadget Man's using it to make a weapon. And it's just, to me, it came together pretty satisfying. Like this sequence to me was fucking pretty awesome, dude.
in the Gully version, because it's not all from like Ant side, you get the Gadget Man internal dialogue through the process too. So you kind of learn a little bit more about him, like get a little more. But I see what you guys are saying. I understand it. I just, you know, again, it's more truncated. And if you've read the original,
the conceit that Ant's, and I'll say that like narration boxes got a lot better. Ant was using, the way Eric was using narration boxes in the first issues of Ant didn't work for me. I wasn't really satisfied the way he was using them because they weren't always necessary and they weren't always expanding on things, right? And I hate to say this. Anybody who listens to this is going to know how we feel, but they felt Spawn-like. Yeah. Where, like, you know, Spawn, Alcines will just be like, what's going on? Where am I? This world. No one to trust. But who can I trust but me? But now it's just me and me alone. That's all worthless.
I feel like, I guess, you know, for listeners or readers, like you guys said, don't read the original Image series. Because it's got all that extra narrative and stuff. And so when you read Eric's version, it feels like the Cliff Notes. And it is like that on purpose because you don't need all of it. But you feel like you're retreading something that's already been done. You know what I mean? If you did read the original one. And so that's the conundrum.
You know what's
and that's
funny?
why you probably shouldn't read it.
I honestly feel like you would be enjoying this better if you were coming in clean.
Because, that's what I'm saying. If you're
this sequence read great to me. And with
that's what I'm saying. Don't read the original.
Ant's little like narration box where she's like, I understand none of the science. If she says none of the science makes a bit of sense to me, but I can't argue with the results. That's literally all you need to know to like fucking be like, it makes just that little narration box makes Gadget Man seem like a fucking genius. Like you said, like MacGyver. He turns his cell phone into a fucking like transceiver weapon, and he turns a tooth and a fountain pen into a freeze. It's fucking awesome, dude. I
will say that is cool. Most of the original Ant series kind of sucks, honestly.
Right.
Eric is cherry picking out the cooler stuff.
I think the dialogue, I want to highlight this. I don't know if it was in the original or if it was Eric dialogue. But the dialogue where Ant says, Gadget Man used me to defeat her, I was just another weapon in his arsenal, is kick-ass dialogue.
But that whole page is reused from the original.
The dialogue was in there?
No, the whole layout, everything, but not the dialogue.
The dialogue is what makes it cool. Because like I said, the dialogue, it fucking has that whole Ant, like, distrust, trust thing, you know? But also, too, it like makes Gadget Man seem like fucking... I'll tell you, did you guys read the Ultimates?
I read the first 6 issues, and I hated it so much I didn't continue.
That's okay. You don't need to know much about it. Did you read Wanted?
No. Well, no. I read a bit of it, but not all of it.
What about you, Craig?
Yeah.
Just
so
go ahead. I'm never going to care.
All I was going to say is Mark Miller did a thing where he had 2 characters, Hawkeye in the Ultimates and then the Killer in Wanted.
Right.
And he had these characters written, and the way they were written is they were written so in such a way that essentially they were pretty normal guys, right? But for some reason, anything in their fucking hands could be like a lethal weapon, right?
Right.
Because there's a scene in the Avengers where Hawkeye fucking gets like attacked by a SWAT team trying to take him out, and they fucking put him in the kitchen, and he's like, you idiots, you know, the kitchen's the last place you should have put me. And the next panel's just everybody on the floors with like fucking forks and knives and spoons all jammed in them and stuff.
Right.
And it's kind of like Mark Miller wrote those characters, and it was always just like 10% annoying to me. Because there's never really an explanation on, like, what you have killing powers. Like, you're just a real good killer. Like, that's kind of weird, right? But for some reason, like, as I read Gadget Man, I get those vibes where it's like, here's this guy. Craig, I'm so fucking glad you said MacGyver, dude. Here's this guy who, like, he's a fucking wimp. I mean, he's a total pud, right? He's fucking like, oh, no, cold burn. Oh, get away from me. But, like, dude... Also, he's a fucking genius, and don't fucking turn your back on him, or he'll fucking freeze your brain.
Yeah. The one thing that's funny is that Mario Gully has Gadget Man looking kind of like a Tom Cruise handsome guy, and Eric just makes him into like kind of a dorky, pasty dude.
Yeah, when I was flipping in the back of this issue, I was like, oh, fuck, is that Gadget Man? he's handsome, dude. And fucking the way Eric draws him, he's like fucking Darren from Bewitched or something.
Yeah. He looks just like Tom Cruise in the Gully version.
He's very pronounced lips now.
He's got that dick nose. You know what I mean.
Yeah. Yes.
He's got the penis tip nose.
The Dan Aykroyd nose.
So,
Yes.
one thing I don't understand is, okay, we got this conversation here between Gadget Man and Ant, and Ant's trying to understand why Gadget Man doesn't recognize her.
Right.
And he says that he wiped her identity from his mind as a way to cover her tracks.
Right.
But is it implied that he now remembers who she is?
Yeah, like
he knew who
fucking
Ant
hypnosis.
was, but not what her identity was.
Right,
And
because
now
he wrote a book about her, so
he made it so you would never recognize her alter ego, I guess.
Yeah,
Right.
that's the way I took it. He like used a hypnotic suggestion to fucking make himself not even realize who the hell Ant actually is.
okay,
This is a
okay.
compu-
So he didn't wipe Ant from his memory. He wiped Hannah from his memory.
Correct.
Okay,
Right.
All right. So he still doesn't really know who Hannah is, only that she's Ant.
He said, I wiped your identity from my memories.
Okay.
Yeah, he says, and in the hypnotic suggestion, use a computer-generated image as Ant's true identity. So you know how you can generate a fake person,
Right.
like a face.
Yeah.
He had previously in his mind a fake face
Like
that he
this-
associated with Ant.
Right.
And now when he's seeing Hannah come out of the costume, he has no choice but to confront reality. It's
Right.
like, oh, this bitch is Ant, not the fucking face
So
in my mind.
that's why at the Comic-Con he thought it was just some cosplayer or something.
Right. Okay. That makes more sense.
I think it's awesome. I mean, again, for me, all right, so this whole thing was Gadget Man. Like, Ant had awesome moments with Malcolm, but I thought she kind of got her ass kicked everywhere else. And it's like, Gadget Man was the fucking star of this issue. Goddamn, dude. The guy's like fucking hypnotically fucking confusing his own mind, making tooth weapons. Like, fucking brutal, dude. He's really a kick-ass character. So, yeah. That even this conversation with Hannah, where he's like, yeah, I fucking wiped you out of my memories to protect you. That's pretty wild. I also like that he's married, which we learn in this issue. He's got a family, wife and kids. Because I
Right.
didn't want them to have a romantic interest. It's not just that he has ugly dick nose. It's that I kind of just didn't want that dynamic to form.
Right. I hear that.
Yet she still takes him back to his apartment in her underwear.
Well, that's
It's
all she has underneath her ant suit. I don't know why, but
I gotta say,
it's too restrictive. Jeans are too restrictive when you got the ant shell on.
the hand. As a new reader, I thought that was cool as shit. I just wasn't. Jim, I didn't make the connection. I never make the connection, dude.
Connection to
I was
what?
never. You know how you said as soon as you saw the hand come off, you're like, oh, well, her costume.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, cool.
So by the end of the series, she'll just be like all costume.
Well, I
Just a
assume
head.
it's at some. Yeah. I assume at
That's
some
cool
point.
as shit.
I assume at some point she'll get her hand back and just kind of stick it on there and it'll grow back.
Kind of like starfish powers.
As long as it doesn't get all rotten and stinky.
Or maybe she just I don't recall her having an artificial hand in issue 12 is all. I think we see her actual hand unless she learns how to color her ant shell.
Pretty sure she gets it back.
That's right, you would know.
I've got to reread it, but it definitely is a plot point.
I gotta say that I like the suggestion that Ant has even more powers. Just waiting. For one, it was cool to use her antenna as literal, like, fucking technology antennas as receivers. But for two, it's cool that he tells her, like, you have heat. You can pick up heat signature and radio waves, and it's like she even uses the radio waves power, like, later this issue to follow the police band to help find Malcolm. And it's like, cool.
Do you think Eric will add additional powers?
Yes, dude.
In time?
Hell yes.
Well, I mean, what kind of powers, other powers would she need? I mean, she's already climbing walls and...
Camouflage or something?
Yes.
Yeah, I guess she could get predator flage, but that's not really something ants do.
Well, the thing is this costume is not ant-like, you know?
What she needs is flying ant wings so she can fly.
Now you're talking. That's crazy, dude. Technically, she could, since, I mean, this symbiote kind of costume, she can construct things. I think it's a fantastic...
I mean, it's not like she was bitten by a radioactive ant, so she just resembles an ant, kind of.
Yeah, I suppose that's true.
I would love to see... Here's the thing. The thing with Ant is there's potential. There's exciting potential, right? And like Craig, you're saying you just want to see Eric get into his stuff. That's it. Dude, all I'm saying is I just want to see where Eric takes it. Like, is he going to give Ant new powers? Is there going to be, like, some crazy villain? Is, like, what's going to go on? And, yeah, I would love to see, like, wild, crazy new powers and abilities and shit that you just don't expect.
She can stab people to death with her antenna.
Well, she does that already.
Does she? Have we seen
Yeah, she did it
already?
in issue... That was one of the first things she does.
Oh.
Is kill the dudes with her antennas.
Never mind, then.
Guys, listen, I love the red dress. I thought the red dress sequence, like with the gloves and the red dress and the boots, I was like,
what's the
cool.
opposite? What's the opposite of inconspicuous? She's very conspicuous.
Extra conspicuous. No, I think it's cool. I think it's
a cool idea.
You know what? I actually think she's dressed like that to hide her hand.
Yeah, it's exactly what it is. She can't hide having a red shiny hand, so instead she's just having red gloves and a red dress and red boots.
She's headed to a latex convention.
Craig, was that an Eric original or was that a redrawn page?
No, this is all original after the discussion in her apartment.
I loved the red dress. I thought it was one of the coolest fucking things to just have her, like, wear her costume but, like, as normal clothes. Super cool, dude.
In the image Ant, the original Ant, we're on issue 8, and after that scene, for some reason it skips to, like, a strip club. It just turns into, like, just a booty comic.
Sure. As you do. As you do. Create her own comics. Self-indulgent. No, I love the costume. That was one of the coolest things. I was like, to me, like, you wonder why I'm so strong on this issue. It was cool concepts. Like, when I'm reading when I'm reading a comic, you can sell me in a couple ways. You can have cool action, you can have cool art, cool story, cool concepts. And to me, this was like a concept showcase. Like, you had fucking just cool idea after cool idea after cool idea. And so, I don't know, just fucking, it clicked, man.
For me, it just felt like a bunch of pages I'd seen already rearranged in between the original Ant stuff and the Savage Dragon stuff, which, it's fine. I don't know how...
I can see that being annoying because I am slightly annoyed by the amount of reuse the Spawn Dragon stuff is doing, although I completely understand why it's being done. So if not only if you've read the Dragon and Spawn stuff, but you've also read the Ant stuff and seeing the reuse, I can see how that gets kind of irritating.
And that's why I say don't read the original Ant stuff. But my gripe is that I'm worried that this is going to continue for too long. Like,
it's probably going to continue until issue 12.
Right. I'm just in the original Image Ant series, we're about through issue 8, where this book ties into. So this book kind of congeals like 3 issues into one.
Oh, well, we gotta
of
be
the original Ant.
Well,
we gotta be getting close to the end of this stuff.
He may have kind of written himself into a bit of a corner by doing 12 first, because 12 clearly references events at the end of the last Ant series.
Yeah, I don't know how that's going to work. I mean, maybe he fills it in with adventures we never saw in the original one. But
I mean,
Craig,
that would be the best way to do it.
Craig, what if there's another Ant 12 print and it's just the Ant 12 we already got?
That's what I'm saying. My assumption from the beginning is that Ant 12 is both the end of the incomplete series that Gully did and this series. It's the 12 for this series as well.
I thought that's where he said he was going with
that.
That
Was in the letters page,
and I couldn't wrap my head around it. It just did not seem like a good idea to me. But I don't know. We'll see.
I think it's brilliant, to be completely honest. It's kind of the insane kind of thing I expect from Eric. Having issue 12.
It's definitely insane. I mean, it's crazy as hell.
So that when we get to issue 11, we'll just jump straight to 13.
Well, that's what I'm wondering. Is that what you do? Like when you get to issue 12, or when you get to issue 11, is the solicit for issue 13 next? And it's like, hey, dear reader, if you're enjoying this, go to fucking Etsy or eBay and get like issue 12.
Yeah, I can't. That's what I'm saying. I can't wrap my head around it. Or does he do it?
We do a trade
again, is it another 12 through a different set of eyes or something, which I'm not too keen on.
You mean do 12 again? I don't think you'd do 12 again. I think the whole idea is to do less work, not more.
But then it's confused. I don't know.
It's not confusing, because once you get to the end, you just reprint the trade paperback with 12 at the end. And then it's complete.
I don't know.
And then you take the 12 you already have and you put it at the end of your Ant run.
So that 12 caps both the original Image
right.
one and
so
the new one.
If you've only read the original Ant, the Gully one, it's the ending to that series. And when you get to the end of this series, presumably, to issue 12, it's the end of this series. So it's the end of both series. It caps both. At least that's the theory, I would assume. I mean,
it's just really
unless Eric changes his mind, because Eric is prone to changing his mind.
Right.
Knowing Eric, he'll renumber it as number 7. It'll be the issue 7 of this series.
Craig, to take it back to what you were saying, the funny thing about my feelings on this issue is actually I'm more cold on the Malcolm stuff. Because I think what's funny is, to me, that felt like too much of a retread. And the funny thing is to me, there wasn't enough new on the Malcolm stuff. And
which is what you would probably feel like if you read the original Ant series.
Yeah, it was the flip-flop for me. Now, here's the thing, is luckily the Malcolm stuff is like, it's cool. Listen, like, I'm an all-in Dragon nerd. And so, to me, it was neat to see these pages reimagined in the Hergé style, the clean line style.
Yeah.
So, like, and, if you're a hardcore, like, go down the rabbit hole nerd about this, there's little stuff, like, on that 4-panel page, Eric fixed the tangent where it looked like the guy was leaping from one page to the next.
Yeah.
From Why Do I Bother to Terrific.
Right.
In the original thing, if you remember, that guy's foot lined up too well with the guy's foot on the other thing, so it looked like he was punching, looked like Malcolm was punching the guy from himself to himself.
Right.
But he fixed that in this, so it's kind of like that was neat. That aspect of it was neat, and I do enjoy seeing, kind of like the reimaginings of that. But as far as like story wise, there's a lot of real estate that is eaten up with stuff we've seen. And so it is just kind of funny because like the complaint you have with the early stuff is the exact same stuff that I have like with this later stuff. But the kind of cool thing about it is you do still kind of see it from like Ant's perspective. Like she gets fucking knocked out and like we know that she wakes up, later. Doesn't she wake up in Malcolm's apartment? I remember a scene where they're standing over Ant's body and she's like in the apartment. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I'm just saying it's kind of neat. It was kind of neat, but also too, I was like, I feel you, because I was like, now did he really need to retread the events of this blow for blow?
Well, this is so that if you never read Dragon.
Correct, yeah.
So now you have the complete story, as it were.
Yep. So, by the way, I don't know about you guys, but like I used to never leave fingerprints on Image Comics. And now with an all black page, like on this last page, like I see my thumbprint where I was reading.
Uh-oh.
And I'm just, and it doesn't bother me because it's like, what the fuck ever. But it's kind of funny because it feels like it's a new paper change. You know how Image changed their paper?
Yeah.
Did they?
Yeah. It was a whole big thing. Remember, we were like, oh, the new paper. Oh,
A new
it's
big
like,
thing when?
I don't know, dude. We lived it. Like me and you and Craig actually talked about it. It's like, do you like the new paper?
Oh,
Like
right.
we had,
so
we had
you
a
mean
conversation.
you mean back when we started the FINcast?
No, this is a recent change.
Really?
Yeah, this is a more recent change.
That's
Image
right.
changed paper.
I may have said I haven't touched an Image comic in a while. Maybe that's what I meant.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well,
I don't know if I've put hands on an Image comic in a hot minute. Actually,
it's just funny because I used to never leave thumbprints on. I don't have like thumbprint problem.
I used to leave thumbprints on the back cover of fucking Invincible all the time because they always had black covers.
Yeah.
It's never been a problem for me. But like, damn, dude, it feels like now with Savage Dragon and Ant, I'm always like flipping a page and I'm like, oh god damn, there's my thumb.
Do you have
like,
problems with sweat glands? Are you getting too sweaty?
No. No, not at all.
Sweaty hands.
It's not me, it's the paper. I swear it's the paper.
Sweaty ham hock hands.
Just kind of surprising to me. It's all. Do you guys, as comic readers, enjoy flipping to a black page?
I don't know. I never really thought about it.
I like black covers.
Yeah, but an all black page.
I mean, I guess it depends.
I don't. I'm just going to tell you that I think you could put anything there would be better than a black page.
I mean, does it count towards the 20?
Well, that's what I'm saying. If it was extra, that'd be one thing, but I feel like it was part of the... I'm not going to sit here and count pages, but I'm just saying when I buy a comic, I'm not looking forward to just a big black page. It clearly doesn't bother you guys. It doesn't bother me. I'm not like bothered, but I'm just like, I'd rather have seen something cool than nothing.
This book's
like,
I think this book's got 24 pages, so it may actually be better shaped than most.
I'll tell you that, like, if you're going to have the lights went out, or like, have another fantasy. Ant's always having fantasies. She was knocked out for 2 seconds in the middle of a fight and had a fantasy. It's like, have another fantasy right there. Draw me something. That's all. That's all I'm saying. But no, the lights went out. It's just a black page. It's like, all right, okay. I don't love it. That's all.
I mean, I think from a narrative perspective, it works. It's pretty sudden and bleak, and I like it. Okay. I almost would say take all of the word boxes out, leave it black.
People would have thought that was a typo.
Yeah, a misprint or something.
Yeah, a misprint. They'd have been like getting online and being like, anybody else have a typo in Ant? I expect more from one of the Image
Mine's just a big
fonts.
thumbprint.
There's a weird face on the left-hand corner, like peeking off the page. It's like, that is your thumbprint, dude. Oh, okay, shit. Heroes United. So clearly, we're making fun of Marvel's Heroes Reborn.
No,
I'm joking. It's just a joke, dude.
No, Raven, that's stupid. Don't be stupid. You're smarter than this.
Oh, goddamn. Listen, the letters are there's some pretty interesting stuff. Don't sleep on the letters.
I always sleep on the letters.
Eric's box, though, he does kind of admit that, it's very choppy.
Yes.
And how, characters kind of come in and disappear, and it doesn't make for the best narrative, so he does acknowledge that.
Yeah. That's number one, is he acknowledges the chop. So it's kind of like he knows. And he also talks about problem solving, where he's like, I just can't compress this much. There's just too much compression. He's like, if I compress... Originally he was going to do it in 2 issues,
Right.
And he's like, there's just no fucking way I can't. I
Oh,
just can't
the
compress
whole
that.
crossover? Yeah, that'd be way too much.
He was going to compress the crossover and the events of the
Right.
previous Ant comics. And
I mean,
he was just like, that's too much.
the crossover was 4 issues, and he's already going to be down to 3, I guess.
Yeah. Plus the events of Ant comics.
Right.
And so
yeah.
it's like, he's like, it decompressed. I can't do it. There's no way. The other letter that's in here that's super fucking awesome is, well, there's 2. Craig touched on it earlier. There's one where he kind of goes and tells you what was a dream and what wasn't.
Okay.
Like writing the letters. He's like...
which letter? Who wrote it?
I think it's Mikey Crotty, maybe?
Oh, yeah, the Mike Crotty's all
right,
of it.
let's see
Yeah,
here.
Mike Crotty's the one where he talks about the Euro style that he's going for. And he talks about his influences, like, artistically, for Ant. And then he also...
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Jim, for you, it's the Mike Crotty one. It's like the last paragraph in the first column is where he starts talking about that, the linear approach.
All right. So he does say that in Ant 2, that opening page is a fantasy, as I thought.
Confirmed.
Confirmed. Cause
Yeah, there's a little dig there.
Had to get it in. All right.
I do. I have to be right. It's my show.
Get it out of your system, bastard.
Yep.
I just like being right. I don't know what to
Savor
tell
the
you.
flavor, son, because it won't happen again.
It's an endorphin rush. You can't beat it. Better than Coke. It's a natural high.
Uh-huh. That feeling of moral superiority. I get it.
No, not moral superiority. Just
Are you correcting me again?
Yes.
Do you need to feel right? Do you need to feel right again?
I don't want to be the villain in this narrative. That harshes my buzz, man.
No, it's a good letter, dude. He lays it out. Like you said, like she's fantasizing in the beginning, but by the end, she's actually fighting people. The hero sequence is obviously a fantasy. I don't think any of us thought that was real.
No. I mean,
I wanted it to be real.
Right. And although we do see those characters again in this issue because they're in the splash page with the headshots.
Yeah, I like how the Joker character's just kind of like got the one sleepy eye and he's dopey looking.
Fantasy and reality crashing together.
Boy, I tell you, Hannah's bully sure did make an impression on her, right?
Right. Well, bullies do that.
She's in the middle of a goddamn superhero fight, got her fucking hand snapped off, and she's fucking having a fantasy about her yelling bully. Her 3rd grade teacher. It's like, Aunt, you need to live in the present, not the past. Let the past go. Clearly, that healthy butt is not the only thing that Hannah's dragging behind her. She's dragging behind her the past. It's all a metaphor. The butt's a metaphor.
The butt is a metaphor.
Gotta let go of the past.
Too much junk in trunk is bad.
Yeah.
Get rid of the junk.
You need to unpack that junk.
Yeah, but Eric does cut to it. He says, most often what you see is real, and the narration is giving you insight as to what's going on in Hannah's head.
Right. Like the whole sequence where she's fighting all the terrorists at the end of the 2nd issue. The fight is real, but what she's thinking may not be.
I do appreciate that he says there will be less sort of fantasy sequences.
Well, now that she's out of the under the thumb of the government, her head's not being messed with as much, so that makes sense.
Well, yeah, and he was trying to sum up, like I said, the first 3 or 4 issues of the original Image series was all like kind of
a dream.
Came out to be a dream, which was kind of lame because like all this stuff happened in the first, crossovers with Dragon and Arachnid and Spawn, and then it was like a dream, and so he's got to kind of address that quickly and get it over with.
That's right.
He also throws in here that like it was the intent to have the story be somewhat vague and have the reader question what was real and unreal, which we kind of had guessed when we were doing the FINcast that was kind of his aim, because he doesn't really dial anything down, and so it's kind of like in that way everybody gets to be a winner. If you want to say the original Ant series happened, it did. If you don't, it didn't.
It works out well that he made that a dream sequence too, because like, you know, Hannah would be too young probably to be fighting alongside a dragon if she's now fighting alongside a Malcolm. So to say that was just a dream sequence of the original dragon as he appeared in the original Ant series, it could just be a figment of her imagination from seeing like Dragon on TV or something like that.
It's
probably
best not to think too hard about the timeline because
yeah.
Remember, Malcolm is a cop right now, and in real time, that was a long time ago now in Chicago, mind you.
Right.
Yeah.
And like I said, I think I've said in previous episodes, it seems to be implied heavily that the stuff with the terrorists was like during the second Gulf War in like early 2000s.
I think it might have been retcon, but I don't know.
Oh, I'm sure it had. But that's why
Iraq
don't,
or something.
Don't dwell upon it because the timeline is very stretched at this point.
Yeah, but I think it's inferred that she was pretty young during that.
Yeah,
but it wouldn't be like Desert Storm. It would be
not
the last Iraq War.
But even that's 22 years ago at this point, or 20 years ago. So she couldn't have been.
True.
She couldn't have been that. She's not that much. She's not that much older.
I can't believe it's been that long ago. Has it really been 20-something years ago?
I'm pretty sure we went into Iraq in 2003.
Because you were talking about Bush era.
Yeah. Well, no. He was talking about Bush era. I was talking about W.
Well, I mean, that's what it means.
War on Terror.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a long time. That war has been going a long time. A long time over, anyway.
Again, it's interesting that Eric shares the pages that he referenced for, like, the various Gully pages that he referenced. I guess for some reason I thought he, like, followed them more closely than he did, because you can, especially in this issue, you can definitely see that he put his own spin on pretty much every page. Mm-hmm. He did keep a few of the cooler things. I think the page that's the most similar is the one where she's actually freezing, where she's got her arm up. That one seems to have very similar, if not the same layout.
Pretty much. The funny thing is, Eric corrected, like, he flipped the panel on the one where, like, Gadget Man's whispering to her, like, frozen face.
Right, yeah. That's
the fourth panel, which makes sense because it's weird that Mario had it coming from the other direction.
Right, he approaches from the left, and then he's suddenly on the right. That's just not good. Panel logic. Also, he flipped, although he didn't reference it directly, he flips the, when she gets her arm broken off.
I do find it funny that Gadget Man needed to swing his tie like a bolo,
right,
to throw the fountain pen weapon.
It's a little weird.
Yeah, it's weird. If you think about the logistics of that, that's weird as shit, right?
Like, he's got incredible aim, too.
Yeah, dude. He's chosen one. He's got chosen one aim. Like, you could have just thrown it, right?
And I guess there is a remnant. You don't see him swinging it, but you do see the tie in his hand in Eric's version, so it's definitely implied to still have done that.
Yeah, you got to do a little work because, like, the reason why he's doing that is because his foot is frozen.
Right.
But it's like Eric doesn't labor any of these points. Like, there's not like Gadget Man's like, can't move, must come up with something. Like, it's just like you got to do the work.
Yeah.
It's like his foot is frozen and he needs to range attack, and so he swings his tie like a bolo and throws it out.
There's definitely some little, like, touches that make the storytelling better, like where the villain gets the pen kind of stuck in her arm. In Mario's version, she's, like, pulling it out, so you never really see it land in her arm.
Right.
So it doesn't really make much sense. Like, it's hard. It's like, what? Did she catch it? Like, you know what I mean? Like, you never see it stick in there, whereas Eric...
No, that's not true. If you look on the page...
Oh, I see, yeah.
But,
but it's basically the same panel, almost, like, repeated, where it's kind of unnecessary.
Right. Yeah, Eric condenses both into a single panel, where it impacts and she's freezing.
Which I like better, because it's like the impact of the pen
Right.
unleashed the tooth.
So like when Eric's version, you see the pen going thok into her, and then you see the ice going up her arm and her face. It implies motion.
Yeah, it was like all at once. Like,
All at once, bang, clank, bang, shh. Yeah, exactly. Whereas Gully's, it's more gradual, or at least it implies it's more gradual.
Implies that it starts after she pulls it out.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, it's a better change. He made a better change for sure. How Gadget Man has a fucking flip phone. That's
Oh,
another
yes.
one of those things.
Don't think about it.
Yep.
Actually, he still has a flip phone in the Eric version. He didn't update the phone, so that's funny.
Yeah. Gave him a flip phone.
Some people still use flip phones, man.
I
I mean, afraid of being tracked.
Samsung literally, as of to the days of recording, debuted a brand new flip phone that looks slick as a motherfucker.
Well,
So I was like, all right.
flip phone. I had a flip phone for a long time before I only got a smartphone for the first time like a year and a half ago. I went flip phone. I went with a dumb phone for a long time, but I hate my flip phone. Slider phones are way better, but nobody made. When my last slider phone died, nobody made slider phones anymore.
Slider phones.
So I got stuck with a fucking flip phone, which you can't fucking text on. I hate texting on a flip phone.
Texting on a flip phone sucks. It is the worst.
Fuck. That's why I like the slider phones.
What's crazy is one of the dumbest girls I knew was like a fucking like flip phone texting genius.
Right.
And she's like, well, it's just easy. It just makes sense to me. And I was like, dude, you're like Rain Man with that shit.
Yeah.
Like, I can't believe you can type as quick as you can with the like 3-letter system. It's like,
Yeah, a lot of those would like be smart and just enter the word after the first few letters too. So
I like the black and white cover.
Yeah.
Savage Dragon 216.
yeah, that looks terrific.
Yeah, looks fantastic, dude. Oh, listen, like all in all, oh yeah, we're not done yet. When you flip the back, you get to see the new cover to Ant 5, which originally, when it was solicited before he thought he was gonna do all this in like 2 issues,
Right.
it was Ant standing over a giant crevice, and another questionable Eric choice. It has the end, big as shit, on the cover, and people were like, "Is this the end of Ant?" It's like, no. It's not the end. There's still going to be more.
It does make a little more sense for that to be the 6th issues, for the first trade.
Yeah. So basically, we're getting this Ant monstrous Malcolm Spawn cover next. So, new cover on there. Listen, like all in all, to me, like. Again, I know I said at the beginning of the FINcast, but to me, Ant's just been getting stronger and stronger, more and more clear, and more interesting as it goes along. And so, where I don't have the retreads sitting around in my head, clogging me up, fogging me up, what's funny is I actually expect to like Ant 5 less than I like this issue.
Right.
Because this issue, for me, had a lot of new stuff. Like, Gadget Man had... This is the first time we really get to spend a lot of time with Gadget Man. I've been waiting for it since he was mentioned way back in the Spawn Ant, Malcolm crossover. When she mentioned Gadget Man, I was like, huh. The idea of Ant and a guy named Gadget Man fighting the apocalypse is awesome. Like, I can't wait to learn more about this character. And so, I've been waiting to learn about fucking Gadget Man for like, what does he say? Like, the cover was 216, and we're at like fucking 262 now.
Yeah.
So I've literally been waiting like fucking years to meet Gadget Man. So for me, this is a huge issue. Like, this paid off in a big fucking way, and I really fucking liked it. There are problems, I can acknowledge that, but I thought this was strong as a motherfucker. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I basically agree with everything you say. I also really enjoyed seeing more Gadget Man, more clearly defined, and the stuff that was new to me I thought was excellent, and I thought the stuff with Malcolm was just as good as it was the first time.
I'm still not sold on this series, honestly.
That's okay.
It's okay.
I mean, Eric goes, when you got the creator in the back panel kind of admitting that it's kind of a mess, there's kind of problems right there, you know? It's like, yeah, you're admitting it is kind of choppy. It doesn't make for the best reader experience.
Sometimes you got to commit to the bit.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's okay. I'm not sure at this point I would continue to collect it if I wasn't such a fan of Eric Larson and know what he's capable of doing. But I'm not the biggest fan of the Ant character. Okay. So I don't know.
I'm not a big fan of her either. I've always found her a bit, even back as far back as the Gully version. I've always found her very generic.
The problem with me is the Gully version. I don't like the comics. I don't think they're good comics.
Well, they didn't look good then either. I don't think they'd improve with time.
And to me, he's trying to improve on that, and I'm beating a horse, beating it to death. But I just felt like when I found out that he was going to do Ant, I thought he was just going to do his own thing. And this trying to fix the original stuff, which is not very good, is not appealing to me.
I see.
I just want to move on with newer stuff, and I just feel like, all right, we're going into issue 5, and it's like not only is it like old rehashed Ant stuff, it's rehashed Savage Dragon Spawn stuff, and so there's nothing new here for me really that is getting me excited about this character. So I'm gonna obviously, stay on. I don't hate the comic.
Well, it's your job. You have to.
I have to for this podcast. I don't hate the comic. I love Eric Larson's stuff. I love his art. I'm hoping I like it better as it goes on. But yeah, that's my position right now.
That's fair. I just want to say that anybody who's feeling that way, that's fair. Part of what's keeping this interesting for me is the art experiment aspect. Mm-hmm. I don't love all the retread that's happening. I don't think that we need to retread the events of Spawn, unless something. Here's the thing: all right. So I'm not big into the retread aspect either, and I don't think that we need to. The difference, I think, maybe is that I do like the Ant character. I never thought Mario's comics were going to be appealing to me. I never pursued them. I do like the Ant visual. Generic to some is iconic to others. Mm-hmm. And I see the appeal of the costume. It's just a red costume that's slick and shiny with the antennas. And to me, that can be, in an acrobatic kind of a thing, that can just be dynamic as a motherfucker all over the place. Mm-hmm. And to me, that's what Eric's doing, right? And as I read and learn more about the character, I feel like a bit of a clod because, now mind you, you guys have said that Eric is cherry picking the best bits out of a bad series, right? But as I see Gadget Man swinging a fountain pen, using a tooth and a cell phone as a weapon, turning Ant into a weapon, all this stuff's very appealing to me and very cool. So I guess in a way I see where Eric's going, because if you never read Ant, there's a huge chance to show people what's cool about Ant using the old material, right? Mm-hmm. But as we are on the verge of issue 5, which looks to be very much a retread of the Malcolm Spawn crossover, I'm less excited about it than I would be if it was new stuff, because obviously I want new comics, and I still remember that crossover pretty well. It's a good crossover, but I don't know. It's kind of like the Ant Malcolm stuff in this issue. I don't know how much new past the art, because again, I'm still super into the art. Mm-hmm. But I don't know how much new you can really bring to that story.
Right.
And I get it that if you've never read, there's a good chance, as low as the print numbers are on Savage Dragon, there's a good chance that if you're reading Ant and you're not reading Savage Dragon, you probably never read that crossover, right?
Right.
But at at the same time, like, I just hate the idea that is the best strategy when you could. I know he's capable of just delivering awesome new comics. And so I'm 100% with you. I like that I'm learning more about Ant, and I do find the character and her setup appealing. I like Gadget Man a lot. Like, I like him a lot more than I even expected to like him. I just kind of also do want to agree with you so that you don't feel, I mean, you don't feel like nobody else is out there feeling it. I'm ready for there not to be, like, I'm ready to hit like a period where every issue is something new. I don't really feel like I don't feel like it benefits the book necessarily. Because the thing is if you want to tell me Gadget Man's cool, and if you want to tell me Hannah's cool, just write stories where they're cool. And it's kind of like the same thing. If you want to connect, Ant to Malcolm, write a story that takes place now, where Malcolm and Ant are connecting.
Right.
That way, and they can reference the past and be like, oh yeah, this is like when we went down to Mexico with Spawn and took out Isaiah Stone, and instantly, with one caption box, see Savage Dragon 216. It's like instantly the reader knows, shit, I should check that out. And it's like, boom, the job's done. You don't have to create retread issues.
Right, like why spoon feed it? Like, there's back issues. You could get somebody interested in that.
Yeah.
That way.
You could send people to a trade, like collected in Savage Dragon trade number 13 or whatever. And it's like, I'm with you. I am with you. I'm enjoying the ride. I am enjoying Ant more and more and more with each issue.
I agree. I think each issue is getting better than the last.
But I do totally, I totally can absolutely say that in a perfect world, it'd have been a clean slate, no retread. And we'd have 5 issues of we'd have, 5 technically, because there was Ant number 12. We'd have 5 issues of brand new Eric Larson comics instead of 5 issues of like kind of a weird Mario Eric Frankenstein kind of a setup. So it could have been done a lot better for sure. As much as I'm enjoying it, I have to accept that that's definitely the case.
Well, I think we said it all.
Yeah, I think that wraps up this episode of the Savage FINcast. Raven, want to take us home?
Got it. Spider-Man writer and artist Eric Larson concludes his epic Ant Spawn Savage Dragon crossover in suitably epic fashion. The trio travels to New Mexico to take on the menace Isaiah Stone, a man using his mutant ability to transform zealots and social misfits seeking power into deadly foes. Ant comes with our highest possible recommendation. Nice. Looking
Isaiah
forward.
Stone.
Yeah, my one hope is that maybe there'll be something new with Isaiah Stone at the end of this, since, as my recollection is at the end of this story, Ant gets trapped underground, so maybe there's something new under the surface.
It's also, I think your hope is founded because we see Ant crawling out of the cover, or crawling out of the ground,
right,
on the original solicit there. So it's kind of like, dude, there, yeah. Here's the thing: everything has a potential to be awesome, and if he reveals some big new like element, because I was never satisfied with Isaiah Stone's ending.
Right.
It's like, here's this guy that can fucking give people powers, and he's sitting on a throne underground in a cave in New Mexico, and he just dies from a cave-in. So it's like, I'm ready for something cool. Also, what's his connection to this fucking religious cult that wants to bring about the apocalypse? I think there's a lot of potential, but I guess we'll see.
Yeah. So until next time, guys, grab on D's nuts.
What?
Did you not hear me at the start of the episode?
No.
Yes.